Ladies and gentlemen, it's the survival of the buffest birds here on Dev Diary, a series where I try to make my own video games. So if game dev videos are your thing, consider subscribing to the channel and turning on notifications so you don't miss future videos. Don't think I can do that for a full video. Okay, so that's right folks, today we're working on a little game about buff bird gladiators. And it may seem like your average top-down action game, because it kind of is with the player moving with WASD, but those observant may have already noticed our buff bird gladiator is rocking some pretty snazzy hardware. Yes, with left click the player can thrust forth their spear of destiny, and holding left click will leave it in such an extended state. Similarly, right clicking will bring up the player's shield of destiny, allowing them to block incoming attacks. What type of attacks? Well, those from their fellow enemy buff bird gladiators, of course. Indeed, in this chaotic free-for-all, the enemy units have all the same tools as the player. They will target the nearest buff bird to their position and focus them down. And everyone's goal is very simple: push the opponents out of the ring. Because when outside of the ring of destiny, a combatant will start to take damage. And of course, taking too much damage will result in that combatant being eliminated. And by that we mean disintegrated, poofed into nothingness, ceasing to exist in this mortal plane. In the player's case, that means an instant game over. And again, observant folk may notice that the circle does in fact close in over time, very much inspired by the battle royale genre in case it wasn't obvious. What may not be so obvious is the fact that if you enjoy the content, supporting me on Patreon is the best way to help me keep making it, and doing so can get you access to exclusive content and downloads, and even early access to the weekly Dev Diary videos before they're released on YouTube. Now, the spear is the key to the entire game. Depending on what it hits determines the results of the knockback applied. For example, hitting a buff bird clean will do the most knockback. Hitting a shield will produce the least amount of knockback, and will also apply a slight knockback to the attacker. However, if the blocker happens to block within the first 10 frames of the attack, it'll execute a parry that'll only affect the attacker, sending them flying the furthest. And finally, should two buff birds decide to touch tips, they will both be knocked back in equal amount. Again, all combatants abide by these rules, and thus the last buff bird standing wins. Now yes, it is a very simple concept with quite simple execution, but it is also a lot of silly fun. And speaking of fun fact, you can get a lot of mileage out of your game art using math. Just math. For example, none of the graphics use any animation frames. It's all just bits broken down into parts and moved at slightly different timings. So the head turns slightly faster than the body, and the arms move at a slight delay to the body. And this is actually something I've been testing in multiple projects lately, and they really do add some nice personality to otherwise static content. So I highly recommend experimenting with timing in your own projects. As for this project, I think this was a nice little one and done. Like, outside of adding more weapons with maybe stats for like attack speed and damage, I'm not sure what else we could really add, you know? But if y'all have some ideas, I'm always eager to hear them, so be sure to share your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like. But with that said, brings us to the end of today's Dev Diary, so thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time!